Hello everyone, how are you? This is the Conservative Urbanite, Howard Nelson Cromwell. I'm coming to you guys today to talk about a report that I promised you guys that I would release probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had made a video when the Black Lives Matters organization or movement um, was defined by the FBI as a terrorist organization. And when I took on this project to for the second time, actually, when I took on this project back in the end of September, I had no idea it would take me almost 2 months to complete. But without further ado, 2 months later, and since my last video came out, probably 100, 200 requests for this article and the data. I can finally say that it is finally completed. So make sure that you check the link to this. It's going to be in the description of this video for the article. But before we talk about the article, let me, for those of you guys who don't know me and don't know kind of like my following of the Black Lives Matters movement, probably about 2 years ago, when we were in the height of, the riots and the protests, the Black Lives Matters talking head, Black Lives Movement talking head, would, make their rounds on the cable news stations and cite these numbers that I found were, unbelievable, to say the least. And so I wrote a report, or I wrote an article. I released an article. Like I said, it was about 2 years ago, and the article was entitled "Monopoly of Violence versus Black Lives Matters and Moving Forward." And the article called into question the validity of the numbers used by the Black Lives Matters talking heads on the cable networks. What I found doing just some very preliminary research was that the numbers were, obviously skewed to fit the Black Lives Matters narrative. I found that they were purposely skewed. I found that they were inaccurate. Given the new classification of the Black Lives Matters movement as a terrorist organization, and the current state of the NFL with the national anthem protests, which ironically was started by the agenda and propaganda of the Black Lives Matter movement by Colin Kaepernick, who said that he refuses to stand for a flag that disrespects people of color, and I forget his actual quote, but it was pretty much about police brutality, which, like, again, was all a fabrication of the Black Lives Matters movement. So given that, and given that it's 2 years later, I wanted to pull the numbers again for the same time frame that I did when that I did 2 years ago. So I pulled it from, I think it was January 1st through the end of May, June, July, August, through the end of August of 2015. It was the first one. This is 2017. And so what I found was extremely, so let me just, before the first article I did, I kind of just a very preliminary research, but even then still, anyone could tell, anyone who knows anything about numbers and analyzing numbers could easily tell that the numbers were skewed and inaccurate. But this time I actually took time to go through each case of an officer-involved death of a Black person, to follow that case from the time that it happened all the way through the investigation to the very end. And what I found by this Mapping Police Violence is the name of the website, mappingpoliceviolence.org. And what they are, it's kind of a clearinghouse of data that they pull from three kind of impartial organizations. It's fatalencounters.org, U.S. police shootings, and and killedbypolice.net. So these are supposed to be like impartial websites that this information is crowdsourced from, and it gives you this, it spits out these huge numbers, kind of like, and it tracks all of the police killings of, everyone, not just Black people, but and what I found was extreme. Well, let me just say, the information was wrong. It was absolutely incorrect. It was inaccurate. And not only was it inaccurate, the way that they were reporting the numbers is absolutely incorrect. And it was just sloppy reporting. They didn't keep track of the investigations. They never went back and updated their information. There's this whole section they left out, which was armed and dangerous, or if the cops feel like they were justified of shooting someone who had a gun pointed to their heads. They left all this information out. And so if you go through the article, you will see where I subsequently knocked down each one of their justifications about why I think they called it, they justified his officers killing, and the way the definition is so broad that if I went up to an officer, pulled the gun out, and was really about to pull the trigger, and a cop shot me first, that would be considered an officer, a police killing. But it doesn't take into effect the fact that I was armed or that I was caused immediate danger to the officer and or the public. So I go through this article and make all of these different observations of why this information is inaccurate and just plain out wrong. I can say with absolute certainty there is no disproportionate rate or ratio of officer-involved shooting or officer-involved deaths of Black people. Absolutely 100%, the numbers do not lie. So be sure to check out the article and pay close attention to the conservative urbanites conclusion, because that's a clincher, and that will bring everything together, from the whole reason why this whole Black Lives Matters I'm sorry, the Black Lives Matters issue started. So thank you guys so much for your patience for this. Thank you for continue to make sure that I, push myself to get it done. To my TCU tribe, thank you guys so much. Without you, I could never have pulled this off. So thank you for keep pushing me. Thank you for continuing to free think. I call you guys my TCU tribe of free thinkers, because you refuse to put yourself in a box, and I absolutely love you guys for it. Thank you guys so much for social media, and I look forward to speaking with you guys all soon. Thanks so much. Again, this is Howard Nelson Cromwell, the conservative urbanite, and thanks again. Hey guys, it's the Conservative Urbanite. Thanks so much for checking us out. If you like what you've read, saw, or heard, please be sure to share, follow, like, and subscribe to our social media platforms. Also be sure to join our TCU tribe of free-thinking conservatives via our Facebook group. If you loved what you've read, saw, or heard, please consider supporting the Conservative Urbanite, which is personally funded with a monthly or one-time donation via our Patreon account or at www.theconservativeurbanite.com/donate, where every little bit helps us to bring you better content. Thanks again and have a great day.